Hi, this is Lindsay, one of the co-hosts of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Bryce Burge, host of Your Soccer Passport here on Public House Media. After this episode, come join us on a trip around the soccer world as we discuss club and country every Tuesday. Stamp your soccer passport by subscribing on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your Public House Media podcasts. And thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Last time on the Gregg and Dave Show.
The LAPD confirms they received I'm going to try that again.
It's time for the Gregg and Dave Show.
And there's the segment that's getting us kicked off the air this week.
Featuring Greg Watsnyder.
I had to say, touch my monkey.
And David Bobkey.
Peaches and Broth was the Bob Geldof cover band that Greg and I were in.
Bravely bringing you the stories of the strange.
One thing I'm really good at is eating tacos.
I get quite a pain in my butt that falls asleep. And her name is Mrs. Bale.
Dave wants to eat muddy cheese.
Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Dave Show, I've done some stupid things in my life.
No.
Hello, and welcome to another fine episode of the Gregg and Dave Show. We are presented, as always, by Public House Media. I am the Greg.
And I'm Dave Show.
Dave Show is yawning.
Woo. Oh, been a long day, the Greg.
Podcast got you exhausted already, huh?
Yep. Mrs. Bale and I having a staying up-a-thon, and I'm losing.
A staying up-a-thon.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll pay attention to see if Mrs. Bale falls asleep during this broadcast, or if Dave Show falls asleep during this broadcast. Then, as usual, Dave Show, we are presented by Public House Media, and you can find all sorts of fun content and shows at thephmedia.com or Dave Show.
Also at thephmedia.com.
Thephmedia.com.
Isn't that right, Mrs. Bale? Mrs. Bale? She fell asleep. Awesome. I win.
She fell asleep. Awesome.
Don't tell her I had a nap this afternoon, because that's kind of cheating.
Afternoon naps are the best.
Oh my gosh, they so are. Oh, good times.
So, Dave Show, this first story, a rather bizarre story, if you would ask me, was sent in by one of our listeners, by one of our loyal listeners.
Yes, and one of our homies here on the Public House Media team. And, sent this one in. We got, I think, a trio of particularly odd stories this week. Perhaps an odder trio than average.
Yes.
Although, to be honest, it's going to be tough to beat the death metal granny from last week. That was up there in the weird department.
Yeah. As people like to say, we've got a threesome of odd stories.
Yes, people love to say that. We want to give Paul Elmquist a shout-out, and you can find him several nights a week over on Twitch. I think it's twitch.tv or twitch.com. I always forget which. But if you look up 4DeoDatus on there, the number 4, DeoDatus. You can find him there, and you can find me there in the chat a lot of times.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Yes. You know who you will not find in the chat of his Twitch, though, is a hippopotamus.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus will do. Do you recall that Christmas song, Dave Show?
I'm sorry to say that I do. Mrs. Bale, can we mute the great... Oh, no, she's still asleep. Dang it. I mean, yes, I remember that lovely and wonderful song.
Yes.
That painful song. Anyway, yes, our first story comes to us from Paul Elmquist, but also from losangeles.cbslocal.com. And the headline reads, LAPD looking into video of man who spanked hippo at LA Zoo.
Okay, first of all, can I just say, I don't know what the dateline in this story is of right now, but California has enough problems of its own that they need to look into. Like, for instance, the fires that are currently happening in California. When do they have time to research hippos being spanked at zoos? That's my question.
Well, a lot of people on the force, I would reckon, over in Los Angeles, but, well, you never know. I mean, people are getting in trouble all the time for putting their hands where they're not supposed to, for grabbing, slapping, things like that. Except usually it's Hollywood actresses or models, and not hippopotami.
Right.
Or hippopotamuses. Hippopotamodi.
Let me think of that Christmas song. Hippopotamuses and hippopotamuses like me too. Okay. Continuing with the story, Dave Show.
We're using that as a story. Anyway, the story comes from Studio City. He might have done it for Instagram. Already there's a typo in this story. I hate everything. He might have done it for Instagram or YouTube fame, but now a man who crossed a barricade guarding a hippopotamus enclosure at the Los Angeles Zoo is looking at potential trespassing charges after he was filmed spanking one of the animals. Video shows the man climbing the fence outside the hippo enclosure at the LA Zoo and sneaking up on two hippos named Rosie and Mara. The man's approach is very cautious, and then when finally close enough, he slaps one of the hippos on the rear before rushing back over the fence and taking a moment to celebrate his feat. Now, I've seen the video on this, Gregg. Saying it's a slap seems a little bit generous. It's a fairly quick, I would say it's more like a tap than a slap.
Okay.
But nonetheless, going where he shouldn't be and doing something he shouldn't do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I said before, really, you get this kind of thing going on with Hollywood actresses, models, and so forth. And you hear about this kind of stuff all the time. Some guy decides to go over there and try to give him a slap, and they get in the model enclosure where they keep all the models, and they do it, and then they run away.
That's exactly it, Dave Show.
A number of times I've heard of this.
Can I just say that the writer of the story makes it sound like he actually was the one perpetrating this. He goes into great description. Interesting. So you're thinking there's maybe a little bit of a tie between these people. Yes. Okay. Those are the opinions of the Gregg, not necessarily a public house media, unless of course he's right, in which case we will share in the glory of finding that detail. This story continues. The LAPD confirms they received a report of trespassing at the zoo and are investigating. In the video, Rosie, the hippo that was slapped, does not show much of a reaction, but her mother appears startled and looks up as the guy is still in the enclosure. The mother appearing startled, I know if my bottom got slapped, my mother would appear startled as well, and I dare say the Gregg would be quite livid. Yes. She'd be turning tables over. She would be turning tables. She'd be flipping tables. She'd be tearing out of her clothes, turning green, the whole 9 yards. As would yours, I'm sure. Yes. More than likely. Definitely. Yes. So it says here, it's not clear if the man knows he's being recorded, but clearly he's showing off. This video started making the rounds on social media last week, it says. The story here is from August 13th, for anyone curious. And the video from Twitter, at @SomeToLaughAt, is where they link to here, is from August 7th. And it says, while hippos at the zoo do have human interaction, this kind of treatment can create an unpredictable situation. The zoo released a statement, the Gregg. Are you ready for this? I am ready for the zoo statement, Dave Show. All right. And it does note, zoo officials have since put no trespassing signs up around the zoo while police look into the matter, because we need signs to tell us that at the zoo, apparently. Yes, hopefully they put them in Braille as well, so that people absolutely. Like me who are blind do not trespass. I remember the time you got in trouble with the giraffes, but we won't get into that right now. You know, I'm just trying to be ADA compliant, Dave Show. Sure. And you wanted to, well, anyway.
trying to keep this PG. The zoo released a statement reading, in part, quote, "The zoo would like to remind everyone that it is never acceptable for a guest to enter the habitat of any animal at the zoo, excluding our staff-supervised animal encounters. It is a privilege to observe these rare and endangered species, but they are still wild animals, and their space must be respected at all times. Our first priority is always to keep our guests, staff, and animals safe."
Hippos have personal space too, gosh darn it.
Yeah, dagnabbit. I would also like to commend the zoo for using the Oxford comma. Well done. Well done, everyone.
Good job, zoo.
Yes. Very pleased with you guys.
Hippos have rights too. I'm going to go on a campaign now. It's going to be called the Hippo Rights Campaign.
Mm-hmm.
All hippos deserve the right to... I have no idea where I'm going with this.
I feel that way often.
The right to eat a snack.
Even if that snack is a person. Mm-mm. So
Yes.
So it does note here a little extra information. Zoo visitors are allowed to pet the hippos from behind a barricade for $20 as part of its Hippo Encounter promotion, which we go to yearly, of course.
Right.
When the zoo unveiled the plan in 2016, the fine people over at PETA, who everyone is a fan of at all times,
Right.
they decried the practice, saying it violated the Animal Welfare Act, the only federal law setting standards for how animals are treated, quote, in research, exhibition, transport, and by dealers. Gotta make sure the hippos are getting their heroin, eh?
Yep.
PETA called for an investigation into the exhibit, pointing out that hippos kill more people than any other mammal on the continent of Africa. So there we go.
Rather depressing thought to end the story on. But, sometimes you have to roll with the punches, Dave Show.
Yeah, well, it's less depressing than that story about you at the giraffe that I didn't go into earlier.
Right. Let's avoid that.
Boy, there was a weekend.
Tall tale. That's a tall tale for a later time.
Hey-oh, Mrs. Bay.
Don't-
Oh, she's still asleep. Hang on, let me...
Don't want to stick my neck out too far into that story.
Oh, now I gotta hit the button again. Hang on. Oh, we're gonna break that button one of these weeks.
Speaking of buttons,
Yes?
we have all sorts of buttons in the studio, and as we learned a couple months ago, one of those buttons takes out a wall of the studio, and so we had to do construction on a wall and things like that. But our next story is about a leaky house or a leaky something or other, or
It's a house that leaks.
or a leaker. I've been called a leaker before.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear this story. We got time. Mrs. Bell's asleep. Go ahead.
I don't think there's really a story. I just remember being, it was joking, playful, teasing fun as a child.
It was something with that giraffe that tied back into... Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot that was the same story.
Yeah.
Anyway, our second story comes to us from dailymail.co.uk, and the headline reads, and it's a long one, heads up on that. Inside the Miracle House. Believers say humble 3-bedroom home in Western Sydney, where oil seeps from walls, has helped desperate couples get pregnant. If you missed the last 5 seconds of the show, I'm going to repeat part of that. Where oil seeps from walls has helped desperate couples get pregnant.
That's what she said.
Yeah. That's what she's claiming in court, I guess. But this is one of those stories I guess we just have to dive in here because there's just too much.
Yes.
For more than a decade, a 3-bedroom home in Sydney's western suburbs has been hailed a miracle house after oil began seeping from its walls and ash from the ceiling. They loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly. Oh no, wait, that's an ad. Sorry. Father Michael Hakel and the owners of the home in Guildford, George and Lena Tennis, believe the oil and ash is a sign from God and it has healing powers. They have claimed on a number of occasions that the oil has helped couples fall pregnant after being told they never could. Okay. Yeah, are they inviting people over for the purposes of stuff? Or is this like a we visit and then we get pregnant after thing? I'm a little unsure where the story's going.
Yeah, but, it's a sign from God, so you can't dispute it because it is a sign from God, Dave Show.
Oh, Mrs. Bale, she's still asleep. Hang on. A little heavenly music there. Well, it says here, and it shows a few pictures. Look kind of disgusting, actually. I'm not even going to explain those. The oil first started after Mr. and Mrs. Tannis's son, Mike, 17, was killed in a car accident in 2006. They say a few days after the accident, the walls in his bedroom began weeping the yellow liquid. There we go.
Oh, man. This is too much.
This is getting weird, man. Okay, according to Mr. Tennis, the miracle oil has not only helped women fall pregnant, but has also cured one woman of cancer. George, who emigrated to Australia from Lebanon 4 decades ago, said he and his family are all committed Christians.
Well, that's great for them.
Yes. I'm not sure how this house is falling into the plans of the Almighty, but we press on. We'll continue to look at what's going on here. This guy says his son's spirit is in the house. A lot of there's odd pictures here, and I'm not sure if this is in the carpeting or if this is on the walls or what exactly. Because I don't even know how to describe this. It looks like a giant apple with a cross in it. I don't know what that one's about. But nonetheless, it says, "There is no question this is a miracle," he said, of the oil seeping from the walls. Since his death in 2006, Michael's old bedroom has become a shrine, and his parents believe he should be made a saint. I'm not sure getting people knocked up qualifies one for sainthood. I'm going to have to disagree with them on that one.
Yes.
Very suspicious, as a great chess player would say. Yes, Father Haeckel told the Daily Telegraph that more than a decade on and people still come form all over. There's another typo. I hate the universe. Come from all over. Daily Mail. To visit the Miracle House. Man, I'm glad our break is coming up soon because I can hardly even right now. Woo. Swig a Mountain Dew. It says here, I don't know how people can stay skeptical because the miracle is beyond science. As most miracles would tend to be. It's kind of the definition of a miracle, I think.
Right.
He's trying to remind us about heaven and new life after death. So I guess, Greg, I would go ahead and ask you, let's paint the picture. You're in Australia. You're with your lovely missus, who I'm looking forward to meeting someday. I'm sure you are too.
Right.
And you're looking to bring on Greg Jr., and you happen to hear that the Miracle House is nearby. Are you going to pay a visit?
The creepy son whose spirit still lingers in the bedroom does give me a little bit of hesitation. I've been in creepy places before, and I'm not going to talk about certain experiences, but I've been in places where I don't know. I guess, is it worth the risk is the question. Is it worth the risk of being creeped out?
Mm-hmm. You think maybe you wouldn't come out of the house, or?
I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
Well, it says here, reading a little further on, it says here, if I can be so cynical, the early photos that they have apparently show the oil coming out of the walls at shoulder height, which was the right height for someone throwing it on the wall. Only now it is higher and on the roof. I don't know what that means, but
I think this this man who has been drinking some of his creepy bedroom oil.
Using a little bit of it for cooking oil, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very bizarre here. It says the home was investigated by Today Tonight. What a great name for a show that is.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Today Tonight in 2017, where the oil from the walls and the ash, because there's ash too that they keep sort of bringing up in this, was tested by scientist Anthony Camus. The substances have occurred due to some type of unnatural intervention, he said. It was hard to pinpoint the origins of the oil from the tests conducted. It was very likely to be an aqueous-based with some trace substances of what you would find in an oil, he said. Aqueous-based liquid or solution is one, quote, in which the solvent is water. However, the results on the ash were a little more conclusive. He says, we conducted a microscopic examination of the ash, and it is likely that ash is charcoal derived from timber, he said. So basically, that guy's no help.
So basically what this whole ending of the story is saying is some people have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah.
Which might be you. If you're listening to our podcast. You may have way too much time on your hands.
That's true.
You may need a hobby.
Of course, some people are probably trying to make it through the workday. That's usually when I listen to the show. Yeah. Of course, I listen to all the other fine shows on Public House Media first.
Yes, exactly. I do have one question, though, getting back to this oil story.
Certainly.
So people talk about people passing gas. Is it possible to pass oil?
Well, we all secrete some sort of oils, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We're going to let our listeners secrete in their oils and go to this commercial break.
Sorry to keep bringing up that giraffe thing. I know that's still kind of a pending thing with the...
This where Wumpus comes for fun and enjoyment.
It's the Gregg and Dave Show.
If we had a fourth member of the team officially here at the Gregg and Dave Show, I think it would be Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com, because he keeps providing us with great music from his website for this here show. On this episode, you're hearing Ghostpocalypse for Temptress, that scary bit of music you heard earlier, as well as Carefree. So again, check out Incompetech.com if you've got a podcast, a YouTube video, a short film, a tall film, any kind of film, and you want some music, go check out Incompetech.com. Check out what Kevin's got to offer, and enjoy.
Hey, this is Dave Show from the Gregg and Dave Show, and I would like to talk about my friend Sam Kirby. He's a great guy. He hosts a show called Cinema Stories, and you should really check out his podcast right here on Public House Media.
That sounded pretty good right there.
Dave Show, what's Cinema Stories all about?
Cinema Stories... Well, wait, I thought you were Dave Show.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, my goodness. I'm having an identity crisis. But Sam Kirby, thankfully, isn't. And Cinema Stories is a delightful podcast that I enjoy quite a bit. I believe it's one of Baxter's favorites as well. Our Grand and Supreme Overlord, Baxter. But anyways, Cinema Stories is Sam Kirby telling us a little bit about TV shows, a lot about movies, giving us his reviews, what he likes about movies, what he doesn't like. He's got a very intricate rating system, and it's an enjoyable all-around listen because you can tell he really appreciates film. He loves a good movie, loves to have a good laugh during a movie, loves great suspense. Just all of the finer things of cinema you can tell Sam really gets into, and you hear that in Cinema Stories.
So grab your popcorn and get the podcast on thephmedia.com or wherever good podcasts are found.
Yeah, grab your popcorn, hide your wives, because he's reviewing everything out here. I don't know if that's staying in or not.
You're listening to the Gregg and Dave Show.
Good thinking.
Okay, welcome back. You are listening to the Gregg and Dave Show on Public House Media. I am the Gregg.
And I am Dave Show.
Dave Show, I really like watermelon. Do you want to hear about the best watermelon that I ever had, Dave Show?
Was it in Italy by chance?
It was, in fact. Have I said that on the show before? I probably have.
I listened to the show last week.
Did you?
Yeah. We were talking about the people who escaped from the nursing home and went to that totally rockin' metal fest.
Oh, yeah, and
I
the
think that's what it
Gallagher and the watermelons.
Yeah,
and,
somehow Gallagher came up in the conversation.
Yeah. Gallagher came to the Waukesha County Fair once, by the way. But anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic was there, too.
Yeah, Weird Al was there. Yeah. In the lightning storm, no less.
Yeah. Rockin' time.
Rockin' time.
Woo.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this next story is about a topic that a beloved topic of the Gregg and Dave Show, that being the topic of food.
The Gregg. They've got pictures of this particular item. Actually looks pretty good, even though it's going to sound weird. The story comes from FineDiningLovers.com, which sounds like a fantastic website.
Yes.
And this story says, this smoked meat, that's in quotes, smoked meat, is actually watermelon. Now, the Gregg, we've heard all these different foods that are supposed to be like meat or meat replacements, and usually it tastes like styrofoam.
Right.
And then, people who actually eat it and pretend to enjoy it tell us that we have no taste buds.
I take it you've had a personal experience, maybe a close encounter with this Dave Show?
I may live a little too close to my neighborhood co-op, but, it's all right. Big boy, I don't need to go there anymore. It's a lifetime ban. Anyway, our story. Comes from FineDiningLovers.com. Smoked meat that's actually watermelon. And you can't tell from the picture. It looks like a roast from the outside. It looks pretty phenomenal.
Okay.
And it reads here, meat substitutes are on the rise with products like the Impossible Bleeding Vegan Burger. And there's a link in this story to that. I'm not going to look because that sounds scary. But it says there are products like that burger that are supposed to ape the taste, texture, and appearance of meat to cater for not only vegans, but those who want to cut down on their meat consumption. Some of the world's best chefs are also getting in on the trend in highly creative ways. René Redzepi and his team over at Noma in Copenhagen recently created a very realistic celeriac. I'm going to go with that. Celeriac shawarma that has taken the internet by storm. Now, there's a new dish that will make you rubberneck back to your screen. A smoked ham that is, in fact, a watermelon. The dish is the creation of Chef Will Horowitz at, are you ready for the name of this thing, the Gregg?
I don't know. Can I ever be ready?
I don't know, but you might want to brace yourself because I love the name of this restaurant. It's called Duck's Eatery.
Yes.
I firmly want to believe that the old cartoon Duckman runs this place.
Or Darkwing Duck. There's a lot of good duck cartoons.
There really are. A lot of good ducks out there. Could be Donald or Daffy, I suppose, but you'd think they'd put their name on it, so.
DuckTales.
Woo!
Huey, Dewey, and
Huey, Dewey, and Curly.
And Louie or something?
Dude, that's the greatest theme song of all time, isn't it, DuckTales?
DuckTales. Woo.
I dare say it's the greatest song of all time.
I would agree with you. No, actually I wouldn't. Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book is my jam.
We may have to agree to disagree on that one, the Gregg. But you know what? We can still share a meal of this smoked watermelon thing. Although we probably won't, for the record. We'll get to that in a moment. But for anyone who's curious, if you're in or near New York's East Village, Duck's Eatery is located in the East Village, and it is a barbecue restaurant. That sounds pretty fantastic to me.
And they're sponsoring this segment of the Gregg and Dave Show. That's a lie. They aren't.
Well, they are now, but we're not getting any watermelon from them, sadly. Unless we keep mentioning Duck's Eatery, and they take pity on us and send us one in the mail. Wink, wink. No, nothing. Mrs. Bale? Nope. Okay. The watermelon ham is created by first removing the rind and then brining the watermelon in salt, ash, and herbs for 4 days. It is then smoked for 8 hours and roasted in its own juices. I'm surprised it survives that long. I wouldn't think watermelon could, but there we are. It says it does look very similar to meat, but how does it taste? According to the Brunch Boys below, it's salty, smoky, and sweet. Confusing, but delicious. By all accounts, it tastes nothing like meat or fresh watermelon. So what does it taste like?
I think it tastes like chicken, Dave Show.
Well, you know what? That's a good bet. I like it. It says the reaction online has been predictably mixed, with many using it to have a pop at vegans, while others have praised the chef's creativity. You remember that, Greg, a moment ago I said we probably won't enjoy one of these together?
Yeah?
The reason is in this sentence. If you want to try it, each watermelon, which serves 3 to 5 people, and we could eat for 3 easily between us.
Right.
We got that on lockdown. But it says that it will set you back $75.
Wow.
My gosh. We could go to Benihana's for that. And it's a lot closer.
I know. Yeah.
Beepers. $25 a head for... Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems extravagant to me. But I don't know. Is the East Village pricier place?
I think I'll stick to my $9 Chinese buffets. Thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah, good Chinese buffet. That's tough to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. The peanut butter chicken, the cashew chicken, the egg rolls, the crab rangoon.
Oh. See, this is why I wanted to do this story last. It's because I'm so hungry. So hungry right now. Mrs. Bale! Hang on, I gotta poke her with a stick. Hang on. Mrs. Bale! Hey, can you hit almost the end of the show music? Yes, there we are, thank you. So, this has been the Gregg and Dave Show.
Yes, and we are delicious. And what did that reviewer say of that watermelon? Delicious yet confusing. That's us.
We are salty. I'm definitely salty. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely salty. Smoky and sweet.
Yes, that is us as well. And confusing and delicious.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Gregg and Dave Show on Public House Media. Tune in next week when Mrs. Bale will not be asleep anymore.
Yep, and
Hopefully
we will have special musical guest Mott the Hoople. What's that, Mrs. Bale? They canceled? Okay. So it'll be a normal show next week. No Mott the Hoople.
Yeah.
Mott the Hoople canceled.
Normal show for us, which is pretty abnormal.
Pretty much. We're like a growth.
Right.
I don't know where I'm going with that. Is Mott the Hoople even still?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Is one of them dead? Mrs. Bale, were you in Mott the Hoople? Why are you looking at me like that? Look at me like I'm weird.
You've been listening to The Gregg and Dave Show. The Gregg and Dave Show theme is Take a Chance by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.